Good morning, students. Hope you're all doing well. Now, in the last class, we studied about the different kind of cities that sprung up throughout the Indian subcontinent, as well as we spoke about the urban population that thrived in these cities. Now, let us look into the trade that existed within the subcontinent. How was it carried out? And what were the main features or components in this trade? And then we'll move on to describe the coins that came under circulation during this period of time. Trade in the Indian subcontinent and beyond. We'll be looking at this topic under two headings. One will be the internal, or you can call it the inland trade. The other will be overseas trade, that is external trade. See, according to your NCERT, what they have given is a very generalized version. They have tried to sum up the entire 1 millennium time span into just few paragraphs. They have not delineated it, or they have not demarcated it according to the dynasties. So I think we will do according to the NCERT only. We will not go dynasty wise. We'll just try to look into what they have given. So we'll be studying the entire trade pattern or economic history of ancient India, okay, as a block in itself rather than going chunk by chunk. So what do we have in the internal or inland trade? We have already established while we were doing the Mauryas that they had very efficient system of transport and communication, as movements of people and goods was happening via the land routes as well as the river routes. We have also mentioned that land routes such as Grand Trunk Road, which connected Bengal till Takshila, was built by Chandragupta Maurya. Then we spoke about how rivers or riverine routes were used for transport and communication, especially Ganga and its tributaries. Fine. So trade continued to be carried out within the internal part of the subcontinent through land and river routes. Obviously, more river routes or more land routes might have been exploited or been discovered or been improvised on over a period of time. Then let us look into the overseas trade or the external trade. This again we'll divide it into two headings, that is the overland trade route as well as the maritime trade route. Overland trade route में क्या आएगा? See, this is something which is again not given in your book. I don't know why they miss out these huge chunks of important information, but if you could just write it down somewhere just so that you can remember this point. See, during the 2nd century BCE in China, the Silk Route was established, what you know as Silk Road. Obviously, why did the name come to be Silk Route? Because the most important item of trade was silk. So this Silk Route was extended from China, that is in Asia, till Europe, that is touching till Mediterranean Sea. But this was above the Indian subcontinent. But that does not mean that the Indians were not able to take advantage of the Silk Route. What they managed to do, that they connected certain branches of road to this Silk Route itself, so that from the Indian traders or the people who were traveling could take advantage of this vast interconnected road that has been established. Okay, obviously they had to pay tax at regular intervals to ensure their safety, so that concern is, we can keep that aside for a while. But keep in mind that overland trade route was possible because of the Silk Route, and this Silk Route was connected to India. Okay? Then come to maritime trade. Maritime trade matlab kya hota hai? Sea trade. We have already established the fact while we were doing this in the Sangam age or Sangam period, how the Sangam texts describe that the Tamilakam region was involved in maritime trade and how they had actually evolved an efficient navy to ensure that they are able to carry out this trade successfully. So they were not only trading in the eastern part of the Bay of Bengal, that is, they were not only trading with China or Indonesia, these Tamilakam region were also trading with the western part, that is beyond the Arabian Sea till the Roman Empire. Okay, so there was a trade route, a maritime trade route existing or encompassing both the Bay of Bengal region and the Arabian Sea. There was a network of sea routes existing. So it was the duty of the ruler of that particular empire to ensure that trade could be carried out efficiently by providing these traders with protection along these routes, okay, by stationing a troop or their army at particular intervals. Now, why is that so important? See, all these roads and areas are fraught with danger. There are low lives trying to take advantage of the situation and looting and dacoiting these trade people, these merchants. So, obviously, the Raja, who is a Kshatriya, who is entrusted with the task of protecting people, would not forego his duty at any given time. Trade. Next, let us look into people who had economic motive to travel on these trade routes. Okay, we'll not, while doing this, we'll not be looking into people who had other motives to travel on these routes, such as these might be people who wanted to learn something. Remember, there were a lot of Buddhist travelers who came to India in order to learn from these monasteries or universities such as Nalanda and all. We'll be doing it later, but just to give you a brief idea. So we are not looking at people with who had the motive of, to learn something. Then we will not be looking into the administrative part where movement or movement of important people was needed to carry out administration. We are only focusing on people who had economic motive to use these routes. Okay? The first one that we have are peddlers, who usually traveled from one place to another in order to sell their articles. See, their sales strategy, you can say, is not to set up a shop and then try to sell their articles. What they employ is a very unique method where they will carry their articles around and sell them. Even today, you find peddlers or hawkers doing this. If you pay a close attention, this प्रोफेशन और दिस क्राफ्ट हैज़ नॉट डाइड डाउन येट. ओके, अभी भी साइकिल में या कहीं में तुम देख सकते हो. इफ़ यू आर अवेयर, इफ़ यू आर ऑब्जर्वेशनल, you will see peddlers roaming the streets. So obviously these peddlers had economic motives even then to carry on trade within these routes, whether it was land or river, whichever one they preferred. Now, second category of people who were involved with these economic motive were the merchants. Okay, obviously these merchants, we know, some of these merchants were part of a guild. Actually, most of these merchants were part of a guild. They would never rather not function individually. So these merchants, who were much better off, traveled in caravans or bullock carts. Okay, whatever goods that they wanted to trade, they took them along in caravans or bullock carts. And the last term which is given in your book, or the last category of people, are the seafarers. Okay, who are they? Obviously the ones who are going across the seas in order to carry out trade. That is, they are using ships. And usually, since these ships involve a lot of risky proposition, they always kept the margin of good, that is the cost and the profit that they attained, वो generally बहुत high होता था. मतलब यहाँ से अगर लेके जा रहे हैं तो उसका दाम कम है, पर वहाँ जब हम लोग wherever we are going, we'll be selling it at a much higher price so that that risk factor is taken into account. So these seafarers, if they survived, they usually did because they were very well versed with these winds, monsoon winds blowing, and which wind was blowing in which direction. उसी time उन लोग sail डालते थे. Okay, so these people, they managed to turn their craft very profitable by selling the goods that they were taking to another different market at a very high price. Then there are some terms given to merchants. Okay, these terms are mentioned in the Tamil Sangam texts, or they are mentioned in Buddhist text. The Tamil Sangam text mentions Masatuvan as successful merchants, whereas the Buddhist text mention Sethis and Satavahas as successful merchants. I hope you do remember why they are actually talking about merchants, because these merchant people used to give them donation, remember? So if, and the monasteries or religious institutions had a very, what kind of relationship with them? They had a symbiotic relationship with them. So these people have been mentioned, these merchants have been mentioned in these textbook. Finally, we have items of trade that we need to look into. Okay, what were the articles that were being traded? Now, again, this portion in your book is given in a very haphazard manner. They have not written which goods were being imported or what was being exported. So, just remember the list of it. It is mentioned salt, grain, cloth, metal ores, and finished products. Okay, so these are mentioned in a very general way. What you have to keep in mind is that what kind of articles were involved when when trade was being carried out with Roman Empire. The first and most important thing that was exported from India to Rome will be the spices. What kind of spices? They will be black pepper and cardamom. Okay, still very much these spices are found in the southern tip of India. Okay, so even during the ancient period, this demand for spices began outside the Indian subcontinent. Then you have pearls, which is not mentioned in your book. If you just make a note of it, even pearls was a very important commodity of trade, especially in the Tamilakam region that was taking place with the Roman Empire. Then you have cotton textile, which was in high demand in Rome. Okay, cotton textile. Remember, Indian cotton is one of the best cotton textile produced in the world, rivaled only by Egyptian cotton. The quality and content of Indian cotton was even compared to Chinese silk. इतना soft और इतना light होता था उस समय. ठीक है? So you have textiles, and then these medicinal plants, and they were also known as something called aromatic trees, जैसे sandalwood, okay, timber, redwood. These were also being exported to Rome. So what is the list? Spices, pearls, aromatic trees, cotton textile. So these are the items of export. What are the items of import? The most important one was the Roman gold. Okay, this is very important when we'll be doing the next topic, that is the coins. So the Roman gold that was imported, especially in the form of Roman coins, that became very important. The Roman wine that they used to produce, remember in 11th standard you have spoken about wines being transported in special vessels, and also this wine was even imported to India. So you have gold, you have wine, various other metals such as topaz or copper or tin, they were also being traded with India. So this is the list. I don't want to do the next topic right now because very soon you'll be starting with your exam, that is after 1 week. So next week we'll be focusing on a quick revision of the topics that are going to come in the exam. Now some students had certain doubts regarding the exam. That was because they are not listening to the videos, because I've already mentioned that we'll be doing an online exam. We'll be conducting an online exam which will have 65 MCQ questions. Okay, all the other details will be given to you by the school, so don't get all hassled up. Just start studying. Okay, continue your studies, go through each sentence line by line. That's it for today. Take care.